Yo, 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 welcome back to the Further Your Lifestyle podcast, conversations on lifestyle, passions, and hustles. My name's Chris, I am your host, and I'm super excited to be back here having the conversation with you. Episode 136 today, which again, it continues to just amaze me that we're continuously making this progress towards 150 episodes. It's been a journey. Anyway, I get a little sidetracked here just talking about that already. But episode 136 today, and today I'm going through basically 9 more mindsets to set you up for success. Now, I've pulled this from another article on the internet. This is from Thomas Opong. We've done a few of his articles over the last couple of months, actually. Now, he actually has a full longer piece of this. He has about 21 mindsets to help you, I guess, get a better outcome in life. I've gone through and just pulled out 9 that I think is relevant for a relevant conversation. And what I'm going to do is just going to talk about them quickly. I'll read them out, and then I'm going to react to them in terms of give my thoughts, my opinions. But if you've got thoughts, if you've got opinions, chuck them down in the comments below if you're here on the YouTube, or reach out, send me a message. Let's continue the conversation. And while I'm here, if these episodes resonate with you, drop a comment. If these episodes resonate with you, share it to someone that you think can be inspired, motivated, or encouraged by this. At the end of the day, this podcast is Further Your Lifestyle. So if you want to help other people further their lifestyles, or you want to encourage someone else because you are feeling it, hey, do myself a favor and or do yourself a favor, and let's share this. Let's get it out there. Of course, it's going to help me, but the more in this community, I think the better we can have better conversations. Appreciate you doing that in advance. Let's just dive straight into it. Roll the intro. All right, so again, this article, 21 mindsets to help you get more out of life. I've just pulled out 9. We're going to start with number 1. Growth is lifelong. Now, off the bat, I think without even looking at this in detail, I think as you get older, and if a lot of you that are listening to this, my actual audience, actually, if you didn't know, is between 35 and 56. But there is, obviously people younger than that and people older than that. But I think we can all appreciate that as we grow in life and as we get older, we start to appreciate things differently. And the perspective of time and what it's taken to get to where we are, we can understand and appreciate that things do take time. But we also need to understand that looking in the past, hindsight's great, but we should be able to take that and leverage that for the forward-thinking approach as well. And growth is lifelong in the same sense that, if you want to grow into something, you can't expect to be a master tomorrow. You can't expect to be the best tomorrow. You can be better than you were today, but there's no chance that you're going to be the best in the world. You might be the best you've ever been because you've only been doing it for 2 days. But you see my point. So I think we need to continuously remain curious. We need to remain open-minded, and this is what it says in the article. And we also need to be adaptable in ensuring that we're enabling ourselves to go for that personal growth journey, and also have this expectation that it's going to take time. It's not going to happen as quickly as we expect. Most of the times there's going to be some bumps in the road, and when we remove that unstated expectation, so we're not going to be confronted with reality versus expectation, it's a bit more liberating. Like you can kind of let loose a little bit. And there's actually a quote that he's put here by Orrin Woodward. Successful people do not have a part-time mindset nor a full-time mindset, but a lifetime mindset. And look, this is one of my common traits across this podcast, is making sure that when we're doing something, that we're doing it towards where we want to be or where we think we're going. And that could be in the next 5-10 years. But when you get there, you're going to start life again, right? You're going to start the journey for the next 5-10-20 years. No one knows what they want to be doing in 50 years because things change so much. You have an idea now, but it's going to change dramatically in the next 10, 20, 30, 40 years because, we live our lives in smaller buckets, whether it's 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, probably not even decades. So, but it is relevant to have that conversation with yourself. So that's the first one. Growth is lifelong. Number 2, the next one is start with optimism and gratitude. Now, he's saying start each day with a positive outlook. Now, I think this is good. I also think you can take it one step further and start the day with things that you enjoy doing, because it brings in the optimism and it brings in the gratitude, because you're going to automatically be happy and you're going to appreciate that you're able to do whatever it is that you love to do. And I think when we start with those things in our lives, optimism and gratitude, look, there's multiple ways we could do this. it also gives us the chance to set the day on a good tone, set the day for the better, and enable us to just have a positive outlook on everything else we're going to do. Now, there's days where they're going to be rough. You maybe going into work, you've got a presentation, or you've got a busy meeting, or a busy day, or you've got a confrontation you've got to deal with. Or maybe, you've got a big drive ahead of you and it's going to be just a big challenge, and maybe you don't like driving. Start the day with some optimism and gratitude of what you're grateful for, but also looking at it, it's like, well, what's this going to achieve for you? What are you able to do from this? Look at the positives from this. And as we start to do this, we can start to notice that life will become a lot more enjoyable, and we can start to find the silver lining in the challenging moments. I like to think I'm a positive puppy, or a positive possum. Sorry, there was a bit of a joke with someone else. But I think I like to think that I have a positive approach to life. When I look at situations or dealing with confrontation between multiple people, I try to always give them the benefit of the doubt and put myself in their shoes before I jump to it. Of course, there's times where I do get quite defensive as well. But when we do have that optimism and we approach with gratitude, it enables a whole different perspective to open up and gives us a chance to enjoy the ride rather than get straight into the messiness of it all. So that's number 2. And we did actually have a quote here from Norman Vincent Peale, and that says, "If you want things to be different, perhaps the answer is to become different yourself." And I think this is really true, because if we always do what we've always done, you always get what you've always gotten, right? The next one, number 3, is curveballs as opportunities. Sorry, curveballs are opportunities for resilience. Now, I totally agree with this. Again, coming back to the first point, that as you go through life and experience things and, develop a sense of how things work, you have an appreciation for life, and you start to understand that things won't be linear. Things won't go as planned. And when curveballs do come your way, problems, things that you have to jump over, they're opportunities for resilience, but they're opportunities to learn and the opportunities to grow. And we'll probably have that as a common thread through this entire episode, but life's always going to throw you those little things in life. There's that whole saying of, when life gives you lemons, it's all about what you do with those lemons, right? And lemons are going to be very relevant and evident in your life for the long haul. So you need to think, when you do have the setbacks, when you start to think of these as opportunities for personal growth, and when we start to work on how we can develop ourselves to get over them, they're no longer going to be those stumbling blocks. They're no longer going to be challenges that seem impossible. Now, I also understand that saying this is one thing, but I can comfortably say that when you face the confrontation of curveballs head on, knowing that we're going in this with gratitude, going in this with optimism, going in this knowing that I'm here to learn, it's going to change your whole perspective. And there's a quote here that says, by Carol S. Dweck, "In a growth mindset, challenges are exciting rather than threatening." And that's what we're trying to achieve here, right? We want these challenges to be exciting rather than something that's limiting our ability to want to step forward. The next one is stop resisting change. We've had a big episode on change here before, probably multiple times actually. And, change is constant. Change is always going to be part of your life. And it's going to be there with or without your permission. If you want to go have a change of lifestyle, you might decide to do that. Sometimes that happens because something, extreme happens in your life, a loss of life or an accident or things like that. So that's going to happen regardless, meaning change. And it goes on in this article. He talks about, he stopped resisting the dynamic nature of life a long time ago, but he embraced it. And the difference, what occurred was, now he's able to adapt and keep moving, and he's not afraid of the uncertainty. And I think this applies, when we think about change is going to happen. So let's focus on the things that we can control and focus on how we can control the narrative in that experience. As change occurs, it also changes who we are. It changes how we develop. Sometimes change can be a good change, and sometimes change can be a bad change, meaning how we adapt to it. Sometimes we can go on the reaction side of change, meaning a change might occur in our lives and we don't embrace it in a way that's going to give us a positive flow, but we give it a negative flow because we resist it, we push back. That is also changing. Like, we might make a change in our life because we don't like the change that has occurred, if that makes sense. So it's like a double whammy. So trying to not be so resistant to change. I'm not saying that, just let everything happen and be easy with it. It's not that simple either. But when things do change, understand how can you make this work in your life. The next one is a proactive mindset transforms life. Look, I think this again, as I was thinking about this the other day, of when when you're younger than 15 and you're not really working, you don't really have any major responsibility for your life. Maybe a bit younger you might, but that's when you start to be proactive. You start to be proactive in taking action. You're looking for a job. You want to start earning some money. Maybe you're interested in someone, or you've got a crush on someone, or you start to take action and be proactive based on your own thoughts, your own considerations, your own responsibilities or accountability, or the things that you want. And as you get older, you start to realize, imagine if I was proactive younger. Imagine if imagine if I was more proactive about my finances when I was 10 compared to when I was 20. I would have had 10 years under my belt, but I didn't understand it, right? And I think sometimes we get stuck in overthinking, but also not appreciating. And when we adapt a proactive attitude and thinking, okay, how can I go make this thing here that is very small and turn it into something that's consistent over a long period of time, we can start to see that those actions compound, they snowball, and they can lead to a huge change over time. So being proactive in doing something constantly, consistently, and just doing a little bit, can actually make a huge, big ripple in the long-term perspective of all things. And that's what we started with. Growth is a long-term thing. It's a long life goal, a long life journey. So I think being proactive, that becomes easier as we get older because we understand the importance of it. So that's my encouragement to you. The next one is seek meaning and purpose. Now, look, I've spoken about purpose so much here in Further Your Lifestyle podcast. And because with purpose, it makes us being able to work towards something and have an attachment to it, and therefore we're motivated to go after it. But it's also something that's quite overwhelming, quite hard and scary to think about and do, because we sometimes think if something doesn't work out, our purpose is gone. But the best way to look at, purpose is looking at it. What are the meaningful goals that we want to do that are contributing to something greater than ourselves? And sometimes that might just mean that you want to build a business that can, provide jobs to other people. Maybe you want to create a charity that can support people. Or maybe you want to, aid animals that don't have a home. It's going after something that makes you feel good about yourself for what you're doing. It's not about what other people think. And it's about what you think about yourself, and what you think you're doing is good work. Now, that's really what it is. And it doesn't have to be big. It can be small, because to you it is big. To someone else, it could be small. But again, it doesn't matter what other people think. You got to do what you want based on your deeper purpose, and finding those things that excite you, finding those things that encourage you or motivate you to want to just go get this done and make it happen. So seek meaning and seek purpose. The next one is banish the victim mentality. This one I do like talking about because it's become very, very relevant to my life in the last couple of years. But when things happen, we tend to naturally just jump the gun and start blaming external circumstances. And when we do this, we actually let go of our power. We actually let go of our control, because we're putting it in someone else's blame or hands, saying that it was their fault. Therefore, they need to solve for it. But the best years of our life, and this is what it's saying right here, there's a quote from Albert Elias, I think it is. The best years of your life are the ones in which you decide your problems are your own. You do not blame them on your mother, the ecology, or the president. You realize that you control your own destiny. It's a beautiful thing, right? Because when we actually realize that we are in control, that we get to decide what's the next step. Are you going to take this path, or are you going to take the path least traveled? Are you going to talk to that person, or are you not? Are you going to engage in this or not? Are you going to work there or not? Are you going to wake up and have a busy day today, or are you going to take it easy and just, kick back and relax? It's all on you. So take ownership, and don't become a victim of this mentality that it's someone else's fault, or someone else didn't do it, or no one told you to do it. You're a big boy. You're a big girl. Even if you're young and you're listening to this 15 and above, heck, take some ownership, start to think, well, what can I do today that is going to create the life that I want? You're in control. All right, so get rid of the victim mentality. And I appreciate that all these things are easy said and done. And sometimes it takes a bit of time to work through. But when someone comes to you and something happens, don't start, go out guns blazing and pointing the finger. Think about it. Okay, what can we do here to get through this? Let's move forward, right? Interesting one. The next one, and I've actually got a podcast coming out on this entire topic called Don't Wait for a Good Life Someday. I think it's actually next week, so keep the eye out for that one. But this is essentially saying life is happening now, and so don't delay on working towards the things that you want. Now, I recently caught up with some family, my grandparents and my auntie and uncle, and they asked me how many hours do I work a day, or do I work every day? And I said, yes, I do. I'm always on, because I'm sometimes working in the business and sometimes on the business. This is my reselling business, and the fact of the matter is, I am in control of that business. I am the owner of that business, and I have goals and aspirations of where I want that to be. No one else is going to do that for me. Also with my running, also with this podcast, also with the YouTube, my relationships, my finance goals, all these different things. No one else is doing that for me. I have to do it. So if you want something, life's happening today, if you're on board or not, whether you're on the train or not, it's leaving, it's going. So work on the things today that's going to get you somewhere tomorrow, that gets you closer to the next thing, that gets you closer to the next thing, that gets you closer to the next thing that you want in life. Because if you delay, you can delay, that's fine. But don't then play the victim mentality. I wish I'd started, 10 weeks ago. No one told me that if I had started 10 weeks ago, I would have been further ahead. Well, it's basic knowledge. It's basic logic. If you started 10 weeks ago, start today, and in 10 weeks time, you'll have results of 10 weeks if you've been consistent. So that's my challenge to you, right? And as we get closer to the end of the year, a big challenge to you is don't start, your new year from January 1st. Start prepping now so you can hit guns blazing from the 1st of January. So start now and plan of what you want to make the next year as easy, fluent, flowy, and streamlined as possible for the things that you want, right? If you delay between now and then, well, you have to start from zero on the 1st of January. If you start from zero now, from January, you're going to have, a bit of a head start. I get very passionate about this. All right, we're coming up to the last one now, which is simplicity creates clarity. I really like this one because, for me, I'm not one to actually, if anyone can see my desk, it's messy. I've got clutter everywhere. But I think this is different for everyone. Whether sometimes it is visual clutter, sometimes it's mental clutter. But sometimes it's just we create more problems for ourselves than we need to. And when we simplify things, when we pull back the bare bones of if this was easy, what would it look like? It starts to make a huge difference. And that's why for me, when I'm not a big-ish person that worries about clutter and things so much, because for me, the clutter doesn't stop me from doing my work. If it's in the way, well, I'm just working around it. But I also appreciate it enables people to have a positive environment to work in. But again, physical versus mental. Mental-wise, I need to be in a space where I'm able to think, able to operate in my headspace, so that I'm not stressed, that I'm knocking out the priority tasks, that I'm ticking off the things that need to be done. And I want to make that as simple as possible. So removing too many decisions, removing too many things that frustrate me, friction points, all these things enable me to get to my end goal, or the whole purpose of what I'm trying to do, a lot quicker and a lot easier. So when you're thinking about, life, how do you make a simple life possible to achieve all the things that you want? Again, I understand it's a very easy thing to say here and say this to you, even to myself. But think about, what if you were to simplify some of these things that you do that cause so much frustration in your life? How differently that would actually play over to the rest of your life. Just saying. All right, so that was 9 more mindsets, right, to think about. And I want to hear from you. Which one of these stood out the most? Which one of these challenged you? Which one of these do you think is most important to you that you need to go work on? For me, I think, the simplicity one, actually, sometimes I do get stuck up in analysis paralysis, and I don't just get out there and start moving on it. But I think the other one is, it plays along with a proactive mindset, is because I am always thinking, but I got to go take the action. I got to take the action. Got to go do the work. You can forecast, you can plan, you can schedule, you can put it all out in the future. But if you're not doing anything that gets you there, then it's not going to happen. So that is my 9 for you today. Go check out the full article. I'll put the link in the description below and in the show notes on the podcast if you're here listening on the audio experience. Regardless, you should be able to access it. Appreciate you all being here. I would love to hear from you all. If you've got any questions, comments, by all means, let's connect. Let's continue the conversation. If you enjoyed this, do share it. Send it out to someone that you think needs to hear these 9 mindsets for success. Appreciate you being here. You have a wonderful day. Cheers.